Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everyone. Thanks for joining us back on another, well, somewhat snowy kind of an afternoon. And did you wonder, how is it that Lexus has managed to create such a reliable vehicle? After all, looking at some great vehicles right here, we have an LS 500, you've got IS models throughout, you've got GS models, beautiful vehicles throughout. And the fact of the matter is, they all carry tens of thousands of parts to keep them working in synchronization to ensure that you can drive safely down the road. But it's not every single part that works flawlessly every single time. We've had videos recently where we talked about how is it that Lexus creates such a reliable vehicle. But in fact, there is one thing, and I need to express today, that can damage their reputation for reliability. Let's get talking about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place. And have you ever heard the term that a car is actually more than the sum of all of its parts? And that is generally true, because there's more than just a collection of all the parts. There's actually the reputation which precedes it at the end of all of that. If you create a vehicle with all the components and everything's working in unison, then you have success, you have good reliability record, and you'll sell lots of cars. But have you heard lately, Lexus has again hit the wall with more reliability issues, some of them being specifically recalled. But before we dive into the one specific, they've had numerous hiccups in recent years. They've had engine-related issues with a flaw in the castings as a result of a flow meter problem within the factory that caused bad castings, leaking engines, which caused potential fires as a result of antifreeze and oil leaking, creating that fire or that combustion. They've had issues with sudden acceleration, issues with floor mats that weren't properly designed, braking problems, software glitches, and a lot of other random little things. And did you actually hear as well, Lexus was recently fined over $16 million for reacting too slowly for some 17,000 Lexus hybrid vehicles that were dangerously created to a point where they would leak fuel in the event of a rear-end collision. Highly, highly impactful, pardon the pun, but that can really result in a bad reputation. But wait! There's more. Did you also hear about the latest? 3 million vehicles now are affected between Toyota and Lexus for issues related to the Denso fuel pump. These are fuel pumps that go back from 2013, 2014, all the way up to current generation. And what the problem is with those is they have a plastic impeller within that starts to deform because of the gas that it's imposed to. Now, when that happens, it makes contact with the casing, and that's where the beginning of the end starts. Now, if you happen to own one of these 3 million plus vehicles, you'll really want to know what the impacts are of a faulty fuel pump. Anything from nothing to faults and alarms, to hesitation, to a shaky idle, to even possibly outright stalling, or just a vehicle that won't restart if it does fault. So the best case scenario is you go out there one day, you try to start your car and it won't start. That's not good, but the worst thing is you call a tow truck and they tow it in and they replace it free of charge. But the worst case is, can you imagine, you're doing one of those left-hand turns, or it depends what country you're from, but if you're, say, on this side of the pond, you're, say, from, North America or whatever, and you drive on the left-hand side of the vehicle and you're making a long left-hand turn across busy traffic. I've had this. Could you imagine, while you're halfway through that turn, you're making that left-hand turn, and lo and behold, all of a sudden, the car starts to hesitate, jerk, and stop, and the traffic's coming at you doing 60, 70, 80, maybe faster kilometers per hour. Where do you think that puts you? In a precarious situation? That's right, in the event of an incident, standing in the front of a potentially bad situation. So would you suppose that these recent recalls have a negative impact on the reputation of Lexus, being known as one of the most reliable car manufacturers on the planet? Well, it doesn't do well for them, that's for sure. But if there's one thing I can admit to, and it's Lexus always does their best to try to make things right. So hopefully they'll get this sorted out. But do you happen to know which vehicles specifically are the ones that are impacted by this recall? You're really going to want to know that, because you may be the driver of one of these. So let's walk through that list right now. We have the ES350 is one model, the glorious LC500 in all of its snow glory, the RX350, how about the GX460 right here? The GS350 is another one, ES350, IS, the NX200T, and a whole other host of vehicles, for example, like the IS200T, the IS350, LC500H, the LX570, as well as the RC350, ES350, ISF, IS300, LC500, and a whole host of other models makes this list, but it's all found in the NHTSA website. So as I said before, a vehicle is generally a sum of all of its parts or more, but unfortunately in a case like this, one part can actually crumble the whole reputation of that car or the brand. hopefully Lexus gets this figured out, moves on from this, and makes it all good again in the end. So I know you guys enjoyed it, so be sure to click on that video. That's all about how is it that Lexus truly does build such a reliable vehicle. Hope to see you in the next one. Catch you real soon. Bye-bye.